Mariah the Scientist and Young Thug have been enjoying a stretch of relationship bliss ever since the rapper walked free from Fulton County Jail after his plea deal was accepted in the long and grueling RICO trial that captured the attention of the hip-hop world. For Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams, this freedom was more than just the end of a legal battle. It was a rebirth, a chance to breathe again, to hold on to the people who truly mattered, and to rediscover the intimacy of real life outside cold prison walls. And for Mariah, it was the long-awaited return of the man she loved, the person she had stood by when it would have been easier to distance herself. Their reunion wasn't just about headlines, jewelry, or viral clips. It was about survival, loyalty, and the kind of devotion that only grows stronger when tested by the harshest storms. When Young Thug turned 34, his first birthday since the ordeal of his trial, Mariah made sure the day wouldn't just pass like any other. She wanted it etched into his memory as a reminder of life, love, and resilience. She gave him a gift that wasn't just material, but symbolic, deeply personal, and crafted to speak directly to their bond. In a viral clip that raced across social media, Mariah presented him with a matching Elliot Elianti-designed bracelet. This wasn't an ordinary piece of jewelry. It bore their nicknames, hers, Riri, and his, Jeffy, carved into shining reminders of who they were beyond the flashing cameras, beyond the accusations, beyond the public noise. The bracelets told a story of two people who had been tested but refused to let go of each other. Alongside the bracelet, Mariah doubled the celebration with a thoughtful touch that spoke to Thug's ambitions beyond music. She put together a special birthday promo featuring his SP5 brand, signaling not only her pride in his artistry but her dedication to uplifting every side of him. Fans who saw the gesture online were quick to praise the couple, noting how rare it is to see a love story in hip-hop that seems so intentional and so invested in resilience. In a culture that often thrives on gossip, infidelity rumors, and breakups, the happiness shared between Mariah and Thug felt refreshing, almost rebellious in its commitment. But behind the smiles, behind the curated images, there was history, a depth of struggle, and wounds that weren't always visible to the public eye. Mariah the Scientist has long been transparent about her devotion to Young Thug. Her music, with its confessional lyrics and vulnerable tone, often mirrors her real-life emotions, giving fans a glimpse of her soul. Yet, even with her openness, she admits that one of the most difficult and gut-wrenching moments of their relationship came not from distance or arguments, but from betrayal at the hands of the very system and public she never consented to invite into their private world. That moment was when footage from her jail visit with Thug was leaked to the public, an intrusion so intimate and violating that it nearly shattered the foundation of their bond. During a recent Hot 97 interview, Mariah reflected on the ordeal with a heaviness in her voice, revealing just how deeply the leak cut into her personal life. She explained that it wasn't only her privacy that had been compromised, but the innocence of others who never asked to be a part of such exposure. She carried the weight of knowing Young Thug's children, still young and vulnerable, had seen parts of their father's and her relationship that were never meant for their eyes. In her words, "I never wanted his kids, or anyone else, to see the depth of our intimacy." The leak arrived during a time when Thug was already under relentless scrutiny. Every word, every movement, every piece of evidence was being dissected and weaponized in the courtroom of public opinion. The video clips of Mariah's visit spread quickly across Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, each repost peeling away the fragile privacy they were clinging to. In the clips, the two were seen sharing moments of raw tenderness, the kind of human connection that keeps hope alive behind bars. Yet to outsiders, it became another piece of spectacle, consumed as entertainment rather than recognized as the vulnerable reality of two people navigating love in impossible circumstances. For Mariah, the fallout was almost unbearable. She admitted during the interview that the situation nearly tore them apart. It was almost the end, she confessed, her words carrying the ache of someone who had come dangerously close to losing the love she fought so hard to maintain. The combination of public judgment, online speculation, and the constant stress of Thug's ongoing legal battle created fractures that seemed, at the time, impossible to mend. She described nights of doubt, where questions outweighed reassurances, where silence lingered longer than comfort, and where the bond they had built felt like it was slipping through their fingers. The situation became even more complicated when additional recordings surfaced, this time involving Thug and another female visitor. The conversations, taken out of context and dissected with the precision of gossip-hungry eyes, fueled speculation that he was maintaining another romantic relationship while incarcerated. For Mariah, who had stood by him through some of his darkest hours, the speculation wasn't just hurtful, it was humiliating. Suddenly, her loyalty was questioned, her role as his partner mocked, and her heart left exposed to strangers who knew nothing of the complexity of their bond. Their relationship, however, is a reflection of a larger reality, the struggles faced by artists and public figures whose lives are never truly their own. Fame doesn't just bring wealth and recognition. It brings a constant erosion of boundaries, where private moments are consumed by millions, often stripped of nuance and compassion. For Mariah and Thug, every kiss, every phone call, every bracelet exchanged is analyzed, debated, and transformed into content. To the world, it's entertainment. To them, it's life, with all its fragility and beauty. And yet, through the storms, they continue. Mariah has chosen to embrace her role as Thug's partner, not as a performance but as a truth she's willing to live publicly, even when it hurts. For Thug, Mariah represents something beyond loyalty. She represents the rare kind of love that isn't scared away by bars, by trials, by whispers of betrayal. On his birthday, as he clasped the bracelet around his wrist, the shine of the diamonds reflected not just wealth but endurance. Each sparkle told a story of late-night calls, of courtroom appearances, of leaked videos, of rumors survived, and of a love that refused to die quietly. Theirs is not a fairy tale in the traditional sense. It is messy, complicated, bruised, and tender all at once. But perhaps that's why it resonates so strongly with fans. It feels real. It feels like a reflection of what love actually is, not perfect, not always easy, but deeply human. And in a world where artists often wear masks, Mariah and Thug's willingness to show both their scars and their celebrations has become its own form of rebellion. Long before bracelets, birthday surprises, and viral videos, the story of Mariah the scientist and young Thug began with something far less glamorous: curiosity, admiration, and the unspoken recognition of two people who seemed to share a rhythm of intensity in how they lived and loved. Mariah, born Mariah Buckles in Atlanta, carved her place in music through sheer honesty. She wasn't packaged or polished like many pop-adjacent Randy B. singers. Instead, her lyrics told uncomfortable truths about heartbreak, longing, and vulnerability, making her voice stand out in an industry that often prizes appearances over authenticity. Her artistry resonated with people who craved something raw. Young Thug, on the other hand, had already spent over a decade reshaping the very DNA of hip-hop. His voice, elastic, melodic, unpredictable, wasn't just about rap but about bending sound itself into a language that didn't always need translation. He was a visionary to some, a mystery to others, and a cultural lightning rod for critics who never quite knew how to categorize him. But behind the headlines, behind the outlandish fashion and chaotic reputation, Jeffrey Williams was still a man with desires, insecurities, fears, and the need for intimacy like anyone else.